Did Stacy even get to pack her underwear? Guess who's back? Back again. NASB's back. Tell a friend. Hey y'all, it's your girl NASB and welcome back to NASMAS 2018. Friends, I think we may have broken the curse of the terrible Christmas rom-coms. The Princess Switch was an absolute delight. They got so much right with this one. But before I get into that, today's cocktail is a white Christmas mojito. Of course, I'll be leaving the recipe down in the description and stay tuned at the end to see a video of me making it. Now let's get into this review. So here's the plot. 1 week before Christmas, a duchess switches places with an ordinary woman from Chicago who looks exactly like her, and they each fall in love with each other's beaux. It's a very short description, and I'm gonna elaborate more and tell you guys what happened. So hopefully you have watched it. I'm gonna try and not spoil too much for you, but it was pretty predictable, as you know these movies tend to be. For me, essentially, this was a mashup of The Parent Trap and The Princess Diaries with a nod to our beloved Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Well, a nod to their romance. There are other movies, of course, with similar plots, but these are the ones that I think will come to mind quickest for the majority of us. Let me be clear. This movie tested my ability to suspend disbelief and not question plots, but as it's typical for these kind of films, I won't hold it against it. Just know that going in and you'll be good. As a disclaimer, with plots like these, I think we touch on consent issues because when you're switching places and people don't know and you're being deceptive, it's not exactly cool. So we're noting that, but we're moving along. So I wrote my own more detailed summary of the plot. So Stacy, who's the first one of the identical ladies that we're introduced to, she goes with Kevin and his daughter, who's her goddaughter, to Belgravia for a baking competition. She happens upon the Duchess and they realize that they're identical. They try to give us some possible explanation for this, but like, one, it was quite an iffy explanation and I don't think it was necessary. We kind of knew what we were signing up for when we opted to watch this movie, but I appreciate the effort. They agree to switch places for 2 days so that the Duchess can see what normal life is like, and in return the Duchess will sponsor Stacy's goddaughter for a ballet program that she wants to do. They don't plan to fall in love with the men in each other's lives, but as they tell us several times in this movie, life is what happens when you're busy making plans, and apparently love is what happens too. So the Duchess Margaret is set to marry Prince Edward. So Stacy, faking as Margaret, has to spend time with him. This wasn't in the plan, and they actually get off to a rocky start, but most of the comedic moments come from their half of the story. Eventually though, all of 2 days later, they are madly in love with each other. I was explicitly told that I can no longer have any cancer slander in my videos, and as such, I will not mention that this is very cancer-like. On the other end, we have the Duchess pretending to be Stacy, and she falls in love with Stacy's longtime best friend Kevin. Their romance takes place in a more subdued manner. They even give us the cliche, she falls down in the snow, he extends his hand to help her up and she pulls him down, and they just laugh and laugh and laugh and fall in love with each other. I don't want to ruin it too much for y'all in case you haven't watched it yet, but when everything comes out into the open at the end, Kevin's face, yo. Yo, get that man an Oscar. He committed. So that more or less gives you guys a better idea of the plot. Let's get right into my thoughts. Y'all, the casting was perfect. I even love the secondary and the minor roles. The kids in this all shined. Olivia, who plays Kevin's daughter, excellent. I loved Olivia's personality. And then there were 2 kids that were from an orphanage, I think it was, a charity. They lived in a home. And the prince and Stacy, pretending to be the Duchess, go to that home and visit them. And of course, it warms their hearts and all this good stuff. There's a little girl who asks Stacy about being a princess. And then there was a little boy who had gotten one of the toys later on. Guys, every time they came on screen, I smiled. The kids were in this movie. Then we had the meddling man who somehow happened to be everywhere at the right times to set things in the direction of these people falling in love. I called him Alpha's ex machina, or is it ex machina? Either way, he was very conveniently there all the time, and it was never really explained who he was or how he managed to be everywhere. But hey, as I said, we are not asking too many questions, and we are suspending our disbelief. Vanessa Hudgens did a stellar job in both roles. And then when you really think about it, she was also playing the roles of each role, playing the other one. Let's not break our brains. She had chemistry with not one, but 2 love interests. Remember, she was playing different people with each of them though, as well as with the other cast members. I think Vanessa was made for TV films. Not that I'm trying to limit her, but I'm just saying. She's kind of in her bag when she takes these roles. And those male leads were also on point, okay? Let's get into Buff Daddy Kevin's body. Ooh. I honestly don't think I've ever said this before in my life, but he was smoking. He had muscles on top of muscles, and he knew it. That scene where he took his shirt off, okay, I'll see you. I'll see you, Kevin. And Prince Edward gave me proper refined man of royalty. I like that he had a modern haircut that suited him as much as his tuxedos. And both of these men delivered. There were ridiculous moments with both of them, but still I believed in the love stories that they gave me and I enjoyed it. I really appreciated how both of the male leads had their own style that I could see. Like, it wasn't anything big, but it fit them. And speaking of styling, the wardrobe and set design on this film come through budget. Now, I don't think it was like a big budget necessarily, but I think it was well used. The suits that Duchess Margaret wore, I mean, what size is she? I thought her outfits were really darling. I mean, the skirts on a couple of them made me wonder what royal family or what country would be okay with their royal family dressing so not conservative. But I guess we needed to see Vanessa Hudgens' legs, and I'm not complaining. Except to say, when it's cold out and she's covered up everywhere, why are her legs out? Is this a new thing with these shows? Because I find that they keep doing it to me, and I don't know if it's to stress me out. At one point, she's in this fancy dress and then she goes outside to sit under a gazebo, and it's like supposed to be beautiful, but I couldn't stop focusing on the fact that her shoulders are exposed. Does her body get selectively hot and selectively cold in certain places? I don't know, maybe it's the Jamaican in me. The Jamaican jumped out. Also, the jeans that Stacey wore, can I have 10 pairs in the exact same fit, please? Thank you. So those are all the things that I really went up for. Now, as I said, we're not questioning this plot too deep, but I do want to point out some weak points for me. The subplots are kind of We see Stacey with a rivalry with another chef, and at some point that chef tries to sabotage her in the competition, but then it doesn't actually work out. We also have an ex who Stacey was with for 3 years, as we heard in the beginning of the movie, and she seemed pretty hung up on him. He's later only mentioned in passing for the rest of the movie, and then when we look at how quickly and deeply she falls in love with Edward, it kind of makes it kind of clash. These plots seem kind of pointless to me because they have no real effect on what happens to the characters in the end, but I appreciate that actual words and actions were put into this movie rather than having weird silences and dead air and awkward moments to fill the quota that you guys know I've become convinced all of these movies have. The Princess Switch has proved me wrong on this count though, and I appreciate it. Continuing with the weak points, Vanessa Hudgens' accent when she's the Duchess or when she's Stacey pretending to be the Duchess. I'm gonna say it takes some getting used to. Yeah, that's what I'll go with. She definitely made sure that we could tell that there was a difference between the two characters. I feel like with executing the plot of the Duchess sneaking out, like the logistics of it and also her reasoning, they could have done better. Like literally how she manages to sneak out, and then in the end her trading her duties and her station that was so important to her for a normal life. They could have given me more to make that believable. But this drawback wasn't big enough for me to write off the show, and it makes sense given the genre. If ridiculous and impulsive moves aren't made for love, Is it even a rom-com? I want to acknowledge the meta Netflix moment where the princess pretending to be Stacy is watching romantic Christmas movies with Kevin. And where are they watching it on? Netflix. And there's no way you could have been watching the movie and not notice that. All of these things came together to make a wonderful niche movie that I actually could see myself watching again. Go figure. I haven't created a rating scale yet, but if I did, this would be close to the top. It would at least be above average. If these kind of rom-coms are what you're looking for, I definitely recommend The Princess Switch. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay tuned for a quick video of me making this. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you want to know when I upload new content, and share this far and wide. Why don't ya? In the comments below, tell me who you would switch lives with if you could. And I'll see you next video. It's like soursop. Yum.